Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So you're looking for a new phone and you've probably narrowed it down to two very different but very popular choices. In this corner, we have the Apple iPhone 15. It's the phone that, needs no introduction. It's premium, it's powerful, and it's an iPhone. And in the other corner, we've got the Samsung Galaxy A56 5G. This is Samsung's mid-range champion, and honestly, it's packing some features that make you question what mid-range even means anymore. Now on paper, this looks like a lopsided fight, a flagship versus a mid-ranger. But the real question is, how much phone do you actually need? And is the iPhone really worth its price? That's what we're here to figure out. In this video, we're talking design, that all-important screen, performance, cameras, battery life, the software experience, and of course, the price. By the end, you'll know exactly which one of these is the right phone for you. So let's just jump right in with what makes these phones special, starting with the design and feel. When the iPhone 15 launched back in September 2023, it was all about bringing flagship features down to the standard model. It finally got the dynamic island, a huge 48-megapixel camera, and USB-C. And you feel that premium focus the moment you pick it up. It has this aerospace-grade aluminum frame with new contoured edges that are way more comfortable to hold. It's surprisingly light at just 171 grams, and the matte glass back feels fantastic. But then Samsung came along in March of 2025 with the A56, and its philosophy is to shake up the mid-range by packing in features that challenge the need for a flagship. It feels just as premium with an aluminum frame and tough Gorilla Glass Victus Plus on the front and back. But it's a bigger, more substantial phone at 98 grams, built around its massive screen. And the real kicker? Samsung is promising an insane 6 years of software and security updates, which is a direct shot at one of Apple's biggest selling points. So in your hands, the iPhone feels smaller, lighter, and more refined. The A56 feels like a bigger, media-focused device. When it comes to durability, they're both solid. The iPhone has a slightly better IP68 water resistance rating, meaning it can survive deeper water than the A56's IP67. In the real world, they'll both survive a splash, but it's a small technical win for the iPhone. Alright, let's talk about the displays, because this is probably the single biggest point of difference between these two phones, and honestly, it might be the deciding factor for a lot of you. The iPhone 15 has a gorgeous 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. It's incredibly sharp, with a resolution of 2556 by 1179, and it gets insanely bright up to 2000 nits peak brightness outdoors. It looks fantastic. But, and this is huge, it's a 60Hz refresh rate display. In 2025, on a phone that costs this much, that is a tough pill to swallow. Now, Apple's animations in iOS are super smooth, and some people genuinely don't notice or care. But if you're coming from a phone with a high refresh rate, you will notice it. Scrolling just doesn't feel as fluid. This is a strategic business decision from Apple. They're betting that the overall smoothness of iOS is good enough for most people, which helps them keep the 120Hz ProMotion display as a key reason to upgrade to the more expensive Pro models. Now look at the Galaxy A56. It has a larger 6.7-inch Super AMOLED display, and it's a 120Hz panel. Everything just glides. Scrolling through social media, navigating the UI, it just feels faster and more responsive. For Samsung, this isn't just a spec, it's a feeling. It's something you can immediately notice in a store, and it makes the phone feel more premium and zippy than its price tag suggests. It doesn't get quite as bright as the iPhone outdoors, peaking at 1900 nits, but it's still more than bright enough. For pure viewing pleasure and smoothness, the A56's screen is of course better. The other difference is up top. The iPhone has the dynamic island, which cleverly integrates alerts and live activities. It's cool, it's functional, and it's definitely more useful than the old notch. The A56 just has a simple, small punch hole cutout for the camera. It's less intrusive, but also less functional. It really comes down to personal preference here. Okay, under the hood, this is where the story flips. The iPhone 15 is powered by the A16 Bionic chip. This was the flagship chip from the iPhone 14 Pro, and it is an absolute powerhouse. It's a hexa-core CPU with a 5-core GPU built on a 4nm process. For day-to-day stuff, opening apps, browsing, taking photos, this phone is flawlessly fast. It never stutters. The Galaxy A56 uses Samsung's own Exynos 1518, also a 4nm chip, but it's an octa-core processor designed for the mid-range and for daily tasks. You know what? It's perfectly fine, it's smooth, especially with that 120Hz screen, and you're not gonna feel like you're using a slow phone at all for browsing Instagram or watching YouTube. But let's put some numbers to it just to see the raw difference. I ran Geekbench 6 on both of these phones. The Galaxy A56 pulled a respectable 1,332 on single core and 3,882 on multi-core. Not bad at all for a mid-ranger. But then the iPhone 15, it scored 2,626 on single core and a massive 6,538 on multi-core. I mean, that's not just a little faster, that's almost double the performance. It's a night and day difference, and it really shows that the A16 Bionic is still very much a flagship level chip. So while the A56 feels smooth, the iPhone has a whole other gear of raw power under the hood. And that difference becomes clear when you push them. Now, the cameras are a huge deal, and this is another fascinating comparison. The iPhone 15 has a dual camera system, a 48 megapixel main camera and a 12 megapixel ultra-wide. That 48 megapixel sensor is a big upgrade, and by default, it uses pixel binning to create super detailed 24 megapixel photos. It also allows for a really high quality 2x telephoto zoom by cropping into the sensor. The Galaxy A56 has a triple camera setup, a 50 megapixel main, a 12 megapixel ultra-wide, and a 5 megapixel macro camera. On paper, that main sensor sounds similar, and it even has an extra lens for close-up shots. In good light, both phones take fantastic photos. The iPhone tends to go for a more natural, true-to-life look. The colors are accurate, and the processing is subtle. Samsung's photos are often a bit more vibrant and punchy, with higher saturation. It's a classic Samsung look, and a lot of people love it. There's no right or wrong, it's just a different style. When you zoom in, the iPhone's 2x in-sensor crop is surprisingly good. It's clean and detailed. The A56 relies on digital zoom, and it is just a different 2x level. The ultra-wide cameras are pretty comparable, both are great for those big landscape shots, but the A56 has that dedicated macro lens. It lets you get super close to subjects, and while it's only 5 megapixels, it's a fun tool to have that the iPhone just can't do. In low light, the iPhone's processing with Smart HDR5 and Deep Fusion really shines. It produces brighter, cleaner images with more detail. The A56 does a decent job with its nightography, but the iPhone's photos are generally a step above. And when it comes to video, it's not really a contest. Apple is still the king of video on smartphones. The iPhone 15 records incredibly stable, detailed 4K video with features like cinematic mode and action mode. The A56 4K video is good, really good for a mid-ranger, but the iPhone's quality, stabilization, and color science are just on another level. But here's where Samsung fights back: AI. The A56 is packed with awesome intelligence features like Object Eraser to remove things from your photos and Best Face to fix group shots. These are genuinely useful editing tools built right into the gallery, something Apple doesn't really offer. This really shows the different philosophies. Apple focuses on capturing the best possible photo right from the start, while Samsung gives you more tools to create the perfect photo after you've taken it. Okay, let's talk about the biggest religious war in tech: iOS versus Android, or in this case iOS 26 versus Samsung's One UI 8 running on top of Android 16. The iPhone 15 runs iOS, and you know the deal. It's simple, secure, and incredibly well integrated with other Apple products like Macs and Apple Watches. Apps are generally more polished and optimized. The Galaxy A56 runs One UI, which is Samsung's version of Android. It is packed with features and customization options. You can change everything from your lock screen clock to your system font. It has great multitasking features and a lot of genuinely useful AI tools baked in, which we'll get to. Some people find it a bit bloated, but I personally love the freedom it gives you. But the most important thing here is longevity. Apple is famous for supporting its phones for years, but Samsung has promised an incredible 6 generations of OS upgrades and 6 years of security updates for the A56. That means this mid-range phone will be getting updates until around 2031. This is a massive strategic move. It completely changes the value equation and forces us to ask a new question. If both phones are gonna last just as long, why pay double for the iPhone? It puts the A56 on par with the iPhone for long-term support, which is a huge win for Samsung. Battery life: everyone wants their phone to last all day. On paper, the A56 has a huge advantage with its 5,000 mAh battery compared to the iPhone's 3,349 mAh. And in the real world, yeah, the A56 is a battery champ. I can easily get through a full heavy day and still have 20 to 30% left in the tank. For streaming or long sessions, it just goes and goes. The iPhone 15's battery life is good. It's not great, but it's good. Thanks to the efficiency of the A16 chip and iOS, that smaller battery punches above its weight. It'll get most people through a day of moderate use, but heavy users might be looking for a charger by the evening. When it's time to charge, the A56 is way faster. It supports 45-watt wired charging, which can get you to about 65% in just 30 minutes. The iPhone 15 is stuck with 20-watt charging, which gets you to 50% in 30 minutes. It's noticeably slower, and you have to buy the charging brick separately for both phones, by the way. But the iPhone has one major trick up its sleeve: wireless charging. It supports both MagSafe and standard Qi wireless charging. The Galaxy A56 has no wireless charging at all. For me, that's a big deal. I love just dropping my phone on a pad at my desk or by my bed. It's a convenience feature that once you get used to it is hard to live without. So you have to choose. The A56 gives you raw endurance and fast top-ups, while the iPhone gives you amazing efficiency and the convenience of wireless charging. So after all that, which one should you buy? It really comes down to who you are and what you value most in a phone. Let's break it down. You should buy the iPhone 15 if you are already in the Apple ecosystem. The integration is seamless. You should buy it if you value raw performance and want a phone that feels incredibly fast and fluid in daily tasks. If you shoot a lot of video, the iPhone is without a doubt the better choice. And if you want that premium, polished hardware and software experience and you're willing to pay for it, the iPhone 15 is a fantastic, reliable phone that will last you for years. You just have to be okay with a 60Hz screen and slower charging. You should buy the Samsung Galaxy A56 if your top priorities are a big, beautiful, super smooth screen and a battery that just will not quit. If you love to customize your phone and make it truly yours, the freedom of One UI is for you. If you're a casual user who mostly browses social media, watches videos, and plays light games, this phone will feel just as fast as a flagship in those tasks, thanks to that 120Hz display. And most importantly, if you want 90% of the flagship experience for about 50% of the price, the Galaxy A56 offers incredible value for money, now backed by that amazing 6-year software promise. Ultimately, there's no single dinner better phone here. There's a better phone for you. The iPhone 15 is the uncompromising premium default, while the Galaxy A56 is the smart value champion. I'm really curious to know what you all think. Which one would you pick? Let me know down in the comments. Let's have a discussion about it.